Hey everyone, welcome to my holiday chat with Amy. Having such a festive time this time of year with my holiday weekdays at 9 a.m. Pacific. And as you can see today, I'm sporting a very festive, very sparkly, happy Santa hat. And did you notice something different in my background? Yes, I decided to put a tree in my office. How fun is that? It's not fully decorated yet, but I figured why not, in the spirit of the season, get into all of it. So today we actually have a really special treat where I am bringing on a special guest. And the reason why I'm bringing her on is that she has really inspired me when it has come to fully trusting my intuition. And the conversations I've had with this woman have gone really deep. And I'm so happy to share her with you. So if you just give us a moment while we are having her join live. I'm just waiting to see her pop up on here, and then I'll be able to add her in. And if you're just joining me, I would love for you to say hello and where you're from. And if this is the first time you're joining me, then my name is Amy Nov, and I am coming to you live from Kirkland, Washington, which is in the greater Seattle area. Kirkland is beautiful. Of course, today it's raining, which is what Seattle's known for. And but it's a beautiful area with a lot of really cool like marinas and these great restaurants and boutiques. And if you have never been to Seattle, I highly recommend coming to Kirkland. It's just a really cool area. So I'm still waiting for her to join, so I'm just going to check in, see what's going on. Technology, right? So, yeah, if you're just joining, go ahead and say hello while I figure out some of this tech stuff. So one moment. Okay. This is the fun part about live streaming. So yeah, I just kicked this holiday chat with Amy off this past Monday. It's been so fun connecting with a lot of you, whether you've listened to the live or been on the replay. And I hope that this has been helpful. And if ever you're wanting specific topics to be covered during this daily chat with Amy, let me know, because I'm always listening to what you need so I can provide you with great coaching and inspiration and mindset stuff, and want to make sure that I'm serving you to the best of my ability. So, Everin, if you are on live, go ahead and say hello. I'm not seeing you here yet, so hopefully this will work. And if not, then we can always reschedule to another day. And if you are on, I would love for you to just comment so I make sure that everything is working properly, because sometimes technology is not on our side. Checking again. Okay. So go ahead and post below. I would love to know what you're focusing on between now and the end of the year. So if you could post below, I'll share with you that for me, it's all about finishing the year strong, and also my team and I are in our full-on launch for Powerhouse, which is an awesome retreat we have coming up. Okay, I see everyone here, and I'll be talking more about that later, but I'm going to see if I can successfully add Everin. Let's see here. Oh, it's not showing up on your phone yet. Okay. Just give it a moment. Interesting. Okay, so Everin, as soon as it's showing up on your phone, we should be able to add you. So hopefully we'll be able to work it out. If for some reason we can't, then, the show will go on and we can always try it for another day, but hopefully it does. So let me know once it's on your phone. Okay, so bringing it back to Powerhouse. Powerhouse is my most exciting thing that I've ever launched. And it's a retreat that also comes with a mastermind, and we are flying out to Captiva Island in Florida. There's a group of us Powerhouse women entrepreneurs, and the reason I'm bringing this up is that if you are so excited about 2018 and wanting to have a massive breakthrough, then of course I would love for you to comment below, and I can talk to you about what this experience is looking like, who's involved with it so far, and you'll be connecting with the most influential Powerhouse women entrepreneurs. So, okay, let me see if I can try this again. Yes. Okay. I'm inviting Everin. Looks like it's joining. Yay! Success! Oh my gosh, yours.
Good morning.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Those are fantastic. So fun, right? So fun. Yeah, so
Good morning.
Everin, welcome. I just want to introduce everyone to Everin Westhead. She is a clinical psychotherapist. I want to make sure I get your title right. Clinical psychotherapist. And the reason why I wanted to bring Everin on is that she has been so inspiring to me and so many others when it comes to fully trusting your intuition. And some people might be like, oh, I think I know everything about my intuition. I'm good. And what I realized is that even as someone who's done a lot of deep inner work, like through leadership training and emotional intelligence training and counseling, and really just focusing on self-awareness so that anytime I get triggered or something comes up for me, I'm able to be aware of it and to really figure things out. When I got the chance to work with Everin and have these deep conversations with her, I learned things about myself that I had no idea I was carrying within me. And especially with being an entrepreneur that has a much bigger vision for myself as I continue to grow and take myself on and take the stages and all these things that I'm up to, it's so important to watch my inner game. And part of
Mm.
that is trusting my intuition and my ability to confidently make decisions and follow through. So Everin, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Amy. It was it was an honor to work with you, and it's one of those cases where, uh, you know all this stuff, you
Mhm.
teach this stuff, and it was so great to still to see how open you were to to learn. And I think we only see these things once we really hit that roadblock,
Mhm.
and it's a thing that keeps blossoming. I think it's never done, right? And
Absolutely.
that's why counselors, psychotherapists always go through new educations and keep developing ourselves as well. So yeah.
Yeah,
So
definitely, definitely. And I know it's kind of fun that we're wearing these silly things on our heads, but I'm really enjoying this holiday season. But I really think that what I love about today's topic is all about trusting your intuition. And I wanted to just ask you some questions, Everett, so you can share with our audience, for those who are either watching live or watching the replay, on what does it mean to you so it can help others to fully
hmm.
trust one's intuition.
Okay. Well, just so you know, my little boys are still around. They've
It's fun.
been 3 years old, so they come in. Especially they saw me wearing this morning, so they'll be around. So, what does it mean to trust our intuition? Well, it comes. I can give some examples. Maybe it
Mhm.
comes up in very different occasions, and what I do is I train people to develop their intuitive senses so they can really zero in on the real issues. And
Mhm.
what we see is, we usually we just like to go about our life. We think we're fine, everything is okay, and everything is of course most of the time okay until we're starting to find a stagnation in our life, I think. And
Mhm.
it comes up in so many different ways. For example, the other day, I was talking to this lady where she was having a hard time closing her sales, and like this is the woman that goes through all her hassle and whatever, and she gets people on the phone, and the thing that keeps coming up is not she's not able to close her sales. And once that happens a couple of times and you're starting to get similar responses, then and I know you know this too, right? This is something that you talk about a lot. So what happens, it seemed completely unrelated in
Mhm.
her life, but this lady is living with her. No, not um, so what this woman was experiencing was she was living with her stepson in the same household,
Mhm.
and there were some issues that they had to now start addressing, and they had this very kind, distant relationship.
Mhm.
But this was avoiding doing this talk because she knew it was going to end up really indirectly talking to the ex-wife and all, like you can imagine this griftness. But because she was avoiding that in her life, she was blocking a part of herself, a part of that intuition that she could really tune in with her clients as well. And it
Mhm.
was, like when you block yourself in one place, it was showing up in another place.
Right.
So she really didn't have to do that, of course. There
Mhm.
were other ways around it, but she really went all the way to really, and once she wasn't just on the surface of her own life and was able to dive into those, nooks and crannies, then she could really do that with her clients as well.
I
That kind of.
Right. Okay. So what I'm hearing you say is, and this is where like, Evan, you're so humble. Like, even though you're like, oh, you teach your clients this, I'm like, not on this level. Like, you are amazing. So, um, So what I'm hearing you say is that if, for example, if I have something that I am resisting or avoiding with a relationship in my life, then even in my other areas of my life, like in my business, then those areas, like the connection can have these blocks in it where the desired results are not going to happen. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Exactly, exactly. Because
Yeah.
what's happening is once we are feeling blocked somewhere, there's a tension somewhere in the system. It is everywhere in the system. We like to compartmentalize ourselves. We like to think that we're really good at it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But especially if you're an online entrepreneur, we're usually a solopreneur too,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
And even in big companies, it shows. But if we are our company, it is not possible to separate one from the other. You know, what we do, what we don't do, what we feel is what we show. And
Right.
I don't want to get too, yeah, I can get too excited and
Yeah.
hopefully
Totally.
I'll
So,
there.
okay. So for the entrepreneurs who are watching, so when you think about entrepreneurs who say things like, well, sorry, see, I have my furry one here. So she's getting my attention. When they say things like, who am I to think that I can do this? Like whatever this is, like whether it's to increase their sales or step onto a stage or starting to do Facebook Lives, when they start to really second guess themselves, like would that be connected in with that blockage that you're talking about?
Oh yes, yes. And it's a great example because it's doing this, doing business pushes us to explore and show ourselves in complete new ways and do things that we were not used to do, right? And
Mm-hmm.
through action, we can see all these blocks coming up. And sometimes people think that it is because I am not that kind of a person, so they just quit, from the
Mm-hmm.
start, or really hide themselves, which is really hard if you're an online business, especially, or
Mm-hmm.
it's unavoidable even if you have a brick and mortar business to have that online presence. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, when we are showing ourselves on Facebook or anywhere, on stages maybe, then all these things that has been sedimented on the bottom starts coming up, and it is a perfect time to really look at all those. And it is some part of it is that we just need some practice and
Mm-hmm.
get into the rhythm of it, and it also brings up so many things that we have been carrying with us, and it's a great to shed it. And like Christmas is coming, and New Year is coming. These are great times to really start shedding those things.
Mm-hmm, definitely. Yeah. So one thing that I noticed with working with so many entrepreneurs is that it's really fascinating to me, and I'm sure that I've had my moments too, where there are times when they'll feel like on a high, like I can totally be unstoppable, I can take on the world, and then within a day they can be like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. What's wrong with me? Why did I even take myself on? What, is this worth it? So what would you say to those people who've gone through those ups and downs, which I believe most entrepreneurs, at least at some point in the journey, have those high highs and low lows?
Yeah. It's a great point. It is something that believe it or not, it is something that comes up in people who devote themselves to any specific thing, and I hear that I heard so many of those stories in Buddhism, or in a Sufi dedication. So it is maybe interestingly enough, dedicating ourselves to business and building this is not that different. And people go through those experiences, we go through those experiences where everything seems to be in the flow and everything is going right, and all of a sudden all the messages and all that inspiration is cut off. And that's and if it's long enough, that sensation they call that dark night of the soul, and like somehow the flow or the source abandoned us, that kind of feeling. It's not going, it just feels too much like pushing. So definitely there are some ways to get things going again, but we also need to see that these times of stagnation is within the system, is a part of the system as well. That
Mm-hmm.
might help to know that it's not going to be this highs all the time. So that expectation might be contributing to make it even worse for ourselves. And
Mm-hmm.
secondly, I think it helps to learn to deal with these big waves. And it's, I think, by the third, fifth, maybe 10th time, we start to understand those waves do not knock us out as much. So one of the
Mm-hmm.
things that I do with my clients is to first of all, normalize this experience. Like I was saying, those ups and downs is a part of the system, and this is a part of the dedication. And it
Mm-hmm.
shows how dedicated, how consistent we can be on this road. And it really tests us, right? It's, I hear a lot of these examples when, and I'm sure maybe you even, many of the audiences watching us, listening to this would know, as soon as you decide to do something, maybe quit your job or start a new way, your old way always just throws in a little bone just to say, are you really sure you really want to go there?
Mm-hmm.
There's
Right.
all these, and people go through, I had my recent summit, and so many of them said, there was that candy in the other life, and this new life was completely unknown in front of me. So it's very scary.
Mm-hmm.
So there's, and within that system, there's always times like how committed you are. You really recognize, and it just, I, you know, I had a lot of chances in my business to go back to working in a hospital. I used to work with insurance companies in the hospitals with very different clients. But doing this on this road, working with intuition, is something that I discovered exactly in those down times that I was really committed to this. Like there was no way going back in any one of those waves. So seeing the benefits of these downtimes, besides how normal it is on a journey like this,
Mm-hmm.
takes away so much of that pressure on it.
Right.
And, yes, definitely there are ways to, ramp things up again in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing. And then it's a great chance to really practice, I wouldn't say meditation, but see things coming up for ourselves, because those times, again, is when all those doubts starting creeping in, right? When, like just what we talked about, who am I to think that this was going to keep happening? Like that was just that was just one time.
Right.
It's not, or I was just lucky at that time. It's not a consistent thing. So all those things start coming up, right? So this is a great time to practice that, to see those things coming and be able to work with them. Because when we're high, when things are flowing, we don't do that. There's no need to do that. I hope I didn't ramble. So yeah.
No, but I love this, because it's just what it's saying to me and those watching is that, whether things are on a high or low, like whatever part of the wave you're in, it's just like you can still stay intact, like, and I think what happens is that when we're on a high, it's like, oh my gosh, I finally had my big breakthrough, and the wave is just going to keep going forever, when that's just not what's real in life. And it doesn't mean that's a bad thing. And I like what you said about like normalizing things, so that like I remember somebody saying to me once that if you can keep your emotions like really calm and solid, then even when things are great, you're not like freaking out, or if they're not great, you're not freaking out. Like you don't need to freak out at any moment, because you are intact and you're worthy no matter what. So if things are not great, then what I'm hearing you say is just like, this is just a part of the journey and the process, and it's okay. And that when you get to tap into your intuition and understand yourself, then you'll know how to manage yourself during that time.
Definitely. And I want to say that, when things are high, we sometimes we get this thing, oh my God, I don't want to be too happy because I know it's going to get low too. Like you're just kind of bracing yourself for the down.
Right.
And once you have done this a couple of times and you trust that, when it gets down, I know how to handle myself. I know how to handle it. Then you just are more comfortable letting yourself be high,
Right.
that really enjoy it, because when it is down, I know what to do. I've been there,
Yep.
So what to do with it. So, not having that kind of, it's going to go down soon. I better don't get too high on this. Just being able to allow ourselves to have those experiences comes in,
Right.
Just we really can enjoy it, because we know that when it's not as high, then we're fine. We know how to deal with it. We got.
Yeah. That's amazing. So one of the things that I also wanted to have you share, like, was something that when you and I got the chance to work together, you talked about this ball of yarn or string that sits within us. So this is one of my favorite analogies. I think it's super powerful. Can you share with people, like, when they're holding on to something, can you kind of share what that analogy is about?
Okay. Well,
I'm gonna let my dog, hold on. I'm gonna let my dog out. She's like hyper right now.
Okay. Well, I'll keep talking.
Yeah.
So I think even just when you say it, I mean, I don't know if there's anyone that does not get that sensation within them too, right? That's why it's a good analogy. I kind of think of it as right in my chest, you know, just that when things really get where things really get stuck when we it's either here or here most of the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when things get stuck, and it's quite showing, where it gets stuck, that ball of yarn for us, some people might feel it right in their abdomen too.
Mm-hmm.
So it is, it's like you put yourself through this experience, things start coming up, and you get that you get that tension.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't exactly remember where it came up, but I will just go with what I think what it is about. So and we you can let me know if that was
Sure.
the case. So I sometimes talk about this thing where we counselors, I don't know if every counselor knows when they're saying this, but people talk about where do you feel you're feeling those kind of things. And it is important to listen to our body, to our intuition too, because they found that it is not just our brain that has the neurons,
Mm.
whatever the brain is capable to do, but our heart and our gut also has its own neurons. They produce and they, control our cranial brain as much as the rest of the brain. So when we're feeling things in those places, they do not have verbal capacity. That is the one difference. So they communicate with physical sensations or with feelings with us. So that's what the intuition comes from. It's that's where the intuition comes from, at least in our body. So
Mm-hmm.
if we're feeling that kind of tension in our body somewhere, then that tension is usually referring to some more defined emotion. It depends how we want to work with it, but when there is a tension, it's usually a remnant of something that we are not fully looking into.
Mm.
The
Like something unresolved.
Yes, there's usually some guilt. Those three things come up a lot. There's some guilt, there's some fear, or there's some shame that
Mm-hmm.
needs to be dealt with. And, in our logical mind, we know that we shouldn't feel guilty, we shouldn't be ashamed, or there's nothing to fear and all that. But there's obviously something that we did not completely go through. And that's what happens, right? I hear a lot, I had all those experiences. I had all those traumas, but I'm over it now, but
Mm-hmm.
on a completely different lifetime. And just it comes up in our work, it comes up with our clients, it just, those things do come up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're feeling attention, then we work with this through recognizing and and identifying, discriminating different things, so that we can really tap into that vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
We can air that vulnerability. Even we just, you would know these times, maybe, I don't know, everybody experiences in a different way. Some people have this really good heart to heart talk, and then their stomach starts gurgling,
Mm.
that's kind of that release. Or you feel it in your chest, when things are, or you have a good real cry, and then things really start loosening up. So once we start to really air what it is underneath, that tension, that mere tension, because we just block it because it's too much to feel, right? So it just becomes this mere tension that hopefully and luckily comes up when we just put ourselves into new endeavors, doing new things, going places.
Mm-hmm.
So our system wants to heal itself, so it just presents it like, I think you can handle this now, so let's deal with this.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let Bella back in. She's come on, Bella. She's so funny. Like sometimes when I'm doing, of course, it's when I'm doing Facebook Live. She's like, "I want your attention right now."
Yes, exactly.
So okay, what I love about this, okay, this is what I totally like geek out on. I love it so much. Is that when we can become aware of this feeling, that when we can really tune into our bodies and feel where we're feeling tight or uncomfortable. Like the fact that you were telling me about how it's not just in the brain, but it's in the heart and the gut. Like didn't you say something like that? Like the gut is like the second brain, or the heart and the gut, so it's,
yes.
yeah. So what I love about this is that, so for example, if I'm ever feeling that tension in this area or in my gut area, it's like I can realize that it's my body telling me something, and there's something that needs to be like resolved and aired out. And so I remember you sharing with me this ball of yarn that is within, like, it's like an analogy of within us. And when we start to like pull it apart and just let it breathe and untangle, that's when we can allow ourselves to really see what's happening underneath it all, right?
Yes, yes, and it's such a release. I mean, just talking about it, I think you would either have the memory of those when it happened for you, or you can just imagine in your body when even when we're talking about it, like that ball of yarn and just being able to finally pull it apart, and that air that comes in,
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, this is so fascinating, and for those watching, it's like the reason why I wanted to bring Everett on is that there are so many things that we can learn about ourselves and realize that, even as entrepreneurs, what my experiences of entrepreneurs is they're always trying to like chase another shiny object. Like, if I just had this strategy down, or if I just had this much money, if I just had these many additional credentials, then I would be great. It's like, you're already great exactly as you are. And instead, what if we worked on our inner game? What if we worked on allowing ourselves to feel whatever it is we're feeling and let it open up, and like really allow ourselves to just focus on what's happening inside. And anytime I've done that, and even the work that we've done together, Everin, I've been able to see like, okay, where am I still playing small, and why is that? And why, if I'm nervous about something or feeling like, oh, who am I to think I can do this? It's, first of all, it's a normal thought to have, but instead of just allowing that to be the driving force, like allowing fear and stress and playing small to be the driving force, I choose to go within and see what's coming up for me, address it, allow myself to go through the process of it to get to the other side. And that's why I just love the work that you do, Everin, because it goes, I know that there's so much more that we go deeper into, but even just, like some of the biggest takeaways I have even from this conversation is to, again, like when things are high or low, like when you can kind of normalize the situation, just be calm and collected and powerful no matter what, that's a really like confident and strong way of being. And then when you have that tightness in your chest or in your gut, that's your body telling you something. And it's just as powerful as if you have a thought, there's that body wisdom that comes through.
Yeah.
And then you can allow yourself to open it up and work with someone like Everin, and open it up and really allow yourself to breathe through it. And if we don't, my understanding is if we don't allow ourselves to open it up, this ball of yarn that's so tight can sit within us and keep us blocked from our highest potential. So,
and it's such a loss, it's such a chance to finally release something, because it's finally presenting itself that we were not aware of at all. Just the fact that I would feel small and feel that tension means that there's something there, right?
Right.
Just the fact that, and there's something there in the sense that some part of me does not agree with this. Some part of me does not want to stay like this. So I am completely disregarding this part of me that is ready, that is bigger than this. That's why it's finding this present situation small. We are not this anymore, saying.
Right.
But we're taking that step and honoring that. And that's where, it's not just about being able to see what our intuition says, but being also prepared for that intensity of that intimacy with that part of ourselves that we need to really get into. That's what also allows us to get really into those intimate places with our clients and address what is really going on with them too, right? So it's not just no being able to close the sales or a lot of unhappy clients that way. So it allows us to really go there with them, and as some people say, stand in the fire with them. We know how to deal with that because we know how we have dealt with it, in down times and other times for ourselves.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Some of my favorite conversations too, Everin, have been about, when we talked about the great legacies or the people even in this day and age who, like, they are just like you and me. So like Gandhi and Mother Teresa and Martin Luther King Jr., and in today's day and age, whoever is inspiring to anyone who's watching, I'm always inspired by Oprah and Richard Branson, and even just entrepreneurs that I've met that I really look up to, Brendan Burchard. So when you think about these individuals, like, I think it's very easy for someone like me, and probably a lot who are watching, to put them on a pedestal and be like, well, yeah, it was easy for them because, they're them, or what have you. But
Yeah.
but what is it about those individuals who continue to break through and break through and break through? Like from your point of view, what is it that they have or that they've done or how they've shown up in order to continue going with not only a business or, just like something that they want to put out there in the world, but really making a big impact? Like what is that thing?
What is that thing? I mean, I think that's why we watch their life stories and how they came to be who they are too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that we see a lot, I was watching this piece about civil rights movements and Martin Luther King, for example, and how he came about to be who he is, and he could easily just say no, this is not my thing, or there's all this oppression going on, or my family is going to be jeopardized. So many things could have happened that he could just not take the call.
Mm-hmm.
But he took the call, and he took it to one next step, because that was something that he was feeling very strongly inside that needed to be expressed. And
Mm-hmm.
I talk much about that, how we are always submitting ourselves to information from outside, oh, there's this, and it comes up in different ways, oh, there's this marketing information, or this person is doing great. There's always these downloads, that
Mm-hmm.
we're taking in, and we're just kind of always in that submission from school age to, right now we're adults, and we're always taking it in, but when does it come out? Because we know there's all this potential, there's all this fire happening, and this is our chance. Those chances present themselves, and then we just get this, oh, I'm not the one to go on stages, I'm not the one. We just start to block ourselves in all these ways, instead of saying, finally I can express all these things. So I think that's what those people did, and I'm sure it was scary. There's no way that it would not be frightening for anyone, but something else was more important, and I think that's what they call courage, right? You feel the fear, but something else is more important, and not doing it is going to, when we look back into our lives, the classic thing, the things that we did not try is what really makes us regret in our lives. So
Right.
And I don't want to go so dark and gloomy in that, but if we're not going to make it alive out of here, what's left? So,
Right.
why not go for what you were really excited about, what would really make you feel like you lived in this world.
Right.
So those people really went for it, I think, and whatever the perils were, the road, I doubt that any one of them said, I wish I didn't do that, right?
Exactly. Oh, this just gives me chills. I just think about how, it kind of makes me think about when someone finds out that they're dying, or someone finds out that they only have a short amount of time to live, then suddenly they're like, okay, I'm going to do this, and at the end of the day, like you said, none of us are getting out of here alive, right? So we don't know how much time we have. And so it's not to use it as a downer, but to me, use it as inspiration of like, if we are all here for such a limited amount of time on this planet, and we're here for a reason, why not take those chances on ourselves? Why not bet on ourselves? Just say, I'm going to bet on myself because I believe that I'm here for a reason, and I have a vision that is bigger than my fear. And if we can all just make decisions, like I feel like this is one of my purposes in life, is to share this message of, if we can all just make decisions that are in line with our vision and our purpose and our mission, instead of making decisions based on fear and scarcity and lack, we will all have major breakthroughs. And it's not about doing it on our own, but standing shoulder to shoulder with other influential people who are here to make a difference. That's when things are really going to happen, And so I love what you're talking about with that, because it shouldn't take someone waiting until fill in the blank to do something, It's like, life is now, the time is now. And if there's something that you've been wanting to do, then let's do it now. Make a bold decision today, and just decide, I get to do this. I get to do this because I'm here for a reason.
Exactly. And actually, sorry for all the noises.
That's
this
okay.
Morning. So once we really find that thing that is important enough, right? And that's why people, just risk their lives to help someone that is about to jump off a bridge, for example. There are some things in life that we we hardly think a second to take those actions because they seem so important. We just get into that tunnel vision of I have to do this or I can't live with myself. Those kind of moments of importance.
Mm-hmm.
And once we find that mission and do not have the time to back out of
Mm-hmm.
things,
Right.
like, oh, if I think of a second, I don't think I want to be dropping off that bridge with that person. That we just do not have those kind of luxuries in those times. So I think it is important to create that mental discipline that most of us hardly learn in our house or in schools, right? To not to talk ourselves out of something that is so important in our lives.
Right. So
There's ruckus
true.
background, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. And if you need to like pick them up or anything, go ahead. Like
Not
we're all friends here.
it's the out of the door ceremonies.
Oh
so.
yeah. Yeah, no, this is really powerful. It's also all about commitment, so it's really fascinating when somebody, when someone's early on in a new launch of something or a new business or things like that. It's like they're in this honeymoon phase, like I'm doing this, I'm gonna rock this out, it's gonna be amazing, and I'm so committed to this. Like they've got that fire, and then it's kind of like a New Year's resolution. It goes from here to and
Exactly.
it's like it's almost like I feel like sometimes we should say, well, I am committed unless, I'm committed unless something big happens. Or I'm committed unless something stops, And so what I want to invite people to do is just be committed. And even if you fall down, get back up. If you ever really watch successful people, and I don't mean just financially, but people who really decided to take themselves on, live out their highest potential, it was not a road that looked like this. It was not smooth. It was not like one thing to the next to the next. It's like this, but the thing is they just kept getting back up and they embraced, well, I don't know if they did, but I believe that we're here to embrace the journey and trust it, trust the process, embrace the process. And every day is a new day to get back up and just make a decision. I get to live today. I get to fully live on purpose today. And when I watch people do that, it inspires me, and so then I think about how instead of waiting for others to do it or to sit back and say, well, these are the cards I was dealt, or maybe I'm not cut out for this. No, I just step in my power. I'm like, I get to do this. And I also get to be the source of transformation and the source of inspiration, because when more of us are in this space together of awareness and really breaking through, then it lifts the energy of everyone up.
Yes, and it is not because you're the wrong kind of person for this.
Right.
It's just those things come up so that we can deal with it. I mean, that's why we love those stories, of movies or just following any one of those, figures that we talked about, right? Mm-hmm. Their life has been so up and down, and the whole the thing they were running after, pursuing was so up and down, and there were many times that it could completely be lost, all that kind of adventure in it. But when we are in the adventure in ourselves and we're hitting those roadblocks, then we don't feel like that hero of the journey. We just see, I must not be that, I probably don't have that quality, or who am I, like you were saying.
Definitely. It's really interesting because I work with a lot of coaches and service-based entrepreneurs, but what I love about what you do, Evren, is you go a lot deeper, and it's something that I really want to invite anyone who has a really big vision. Like the reason why I wanted to spend some time with Evren and do some work with her and feature her today is that I really have a much bigger vision for myself. And every year I continue to live into that. And I also see where my limiting beliefs are, and I'm embracing the journey. And one thing that Evren has helped me do is to really dig deep and see where, first of all, what is that vision that I have? And like when we had this kind of like a half VIP intensive together, I actually got emotional because we got to be in this really present space, and I got to share with her what that vision is. And it's almost like when the vision is so big, it's almost like it can feel bigger than my being, because it is. And we talked about that and what that looked like. And what you helped me do, Evan, was to really see where I was having that yarn, that ball of string that was still tight. And I know it's still continuing to unravel, so that I don't allow blockages in my life, anything that's not clear, to hold me back from playing the biggest game that I can play. So I just want to acknowledge you for that. You're such a gift for the world. And also for anyone who's watching that really has a big vision, I would connect with Everin, like really just connect with her. She's so generous. You can have a conversation with her. And I know you have some really cool offerings where you help people. Like I feel like in a past life, you were friends with like Gandhi and Mother Teresa and walking by their side and saying, hey, you've got this. And we're gonna do some deeper work. You know what I mean? Like just really like hone in on, because imagine if they didn't do what they did, imagine if these people that everyone knows their name because they really stood for something. They stood for a bigger vision, a better world. And I'm sure, just like you and me and everyone watching, that they had their moments of doubt, many moments of doubt, but there's that thing, that X factor, I believe, that's all about really allowing themselves to break through any form of resistance. That ball of yarn, anytime it got tight, they're like, gotta open it back up because my vision and my purpose is much bigger than me. And I am committed to this. I'm committed. I will either accomplish it or I will die trying. That's what taking a stand is all about. So everyone, thank you so much for the work that you do.
Thank you, thank you. I can speak all day about this. Thank you.
Yeah, normally I don't go this long, but I wanted to give this chance to really kind of go deeper with you. So it is about that time. But if somebody wants to connect with you, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Well, they can email me at evren@evrenwesthead.com.
Okay.
I think that's the fastest ways, or they can message me on Facebook. I'm on Facebook. I think they can reach me there too.
Okay. So what we can do is we can pop your email in the comment section after this is done. And but yeah, I just thank you so much for taking the time today out of your schedule as a wonderful mom and with all of your expertise around trusting your intuition, your background, your education. So thank you for giving us the gift of your time on this lovely day. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Amy.
All right. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.